All right, welcome back to this fifth of 5 videos looking at security risk management from Wheeler's most excellent book in Chapter 7. What we're doing here is looking at one of the additional readings associated with the course. So this isn't in the core book, it's just one of the readings, and that particular reading looks at maximizing the return on investment of information security programs by looking at governance and metrics. Pretty good paper, interesting things. It's got one flaw about halfway through, and we'll talk about that. So for the presentation, what I did is looked at what's the summary of security issues, and what the paper looks at is a summary of security issues, define what a portfolio of information securities is, and then works it through a framework for determining the effectiveness of that program and justifying those expenses. All right, so when you go out and look, there are lots of security issues out there, and there are lots of challenges with IT and IS working together on a common problem. While I understand what the article says, this to me just means there's a lack of alignment if the two groups aren't working together well. Having said that, IS does have, or information security does have, some unique challenges. Regulatory compliance is much heavier typically within IS than IT, and risk management is a whole key component that is normally unique to IS. As we look at critical components in this, you've got to look at risk management, the information system lifecycle, security, education, training, and awareness, what programs and architecture do you have in place, and then infrastructure security management. So those are the programs that the article discussed. And as you know, we in the course textbook use the 6 Ps as part of our programs associated with information security or risk management. And you can always summarize this down to technology, policy, and education, training, and awareness are going to be the key components of an information security program. But again, article uses slightly different critical components, and that's fine. It then goes on to talk about the benefits of having a management framework, and you can see the benefits here. It's the ability to align those security expenditures with business risks, have better information, better coverage, make sure you're not missing something. And by using work that's already been done, it should be better, cheaper, and faster. What that then leads to is building of a security service management portfolio, a collection, if you will, of services. I'm going to use these to then determine what your priorities are, what you're working on. The article suggests that ISO 27001 or Corbett are great starting points, and of course NIST 8030 is a great collection for risk assessment methodologies. As we're going through this, and you'll see this in the next slide, we're going to look at different components and say who is responsible, who is accountable, who gets to consult when a decision is being made, and then who's informed. And there are lots of different domains that could be used. The article is going to use these 7 for their kind of walkthrough. So as you see these 7, we're going to use those in a couple of tables that are about to occur and then map them against a potential framework for governance and use of metrics. All right, so let's start with this table on the left. And as you can see, it's got risk management, that first of those domains on the previous slide. In fact, I'll go back. See that risk management up at the top right under possible domains? Guess what? It showed up over here in an abbreviation now. And then they've got a portfolio of services. So they've listed 3, monitoring of regulatory changes, closing out audit items, and regular reviews of privacy. And then they've listed different organizations: information security, IT, legal, finance, HR, and audit. And then those RAICs all go back to the RACA: who's responsible, who's accountable, who's informed, and who gets to consult when certain decisions are being made. And so you're mapping those responsibilities against a particular domain and a portfolio of services. This lets everybody know who's doing what to whom. That then maps into, again, we're taking that risk management number 1 and then mapping it into, well, what risks are out there that we need to address? Who are the stakeholders involved with that? And then what projects are involved with that? And again, you can see how those things are all interlinked. And while the article only does number 1, you can see how you can map it into all 7 of those domains that were back on the previous slide as possible domains. Once you're doing that, once you've done that, you want to then go back and look at all of those and say, well, can they generate a return on security investment? And that's what that ROSI stands for. And as they're looking at that, they look at a standard mechanism that's used within IT, and that is, are there things that generate a return based on running the business, growing the business, and transforming the business? And they give 3 different examples there. So, the idea of running the business is, can we reduce costs associated with loss prevention? Good example. Can security enable the business to capitalize on existing services? That would be grow the business. And can security enable a competitive advantage to the business? That would be part of transform. And again, you can see some examples of that as we expand it over to the right. Once we've done that, that then leads to generating a certain number of metrics. And so we're going to go back, look at those domains, build goals based on what we saw previously, look again at those services, and then start building metrics that allow us to deliver against those goals. Those goals are delivering against those meta. And again, I'll go back, this idea of run the business, grow the business, transform the business. That's what are leading to these particular goals. From there, something happens which candidly I couldn't follow in the paper. I've listed it here as magic. But magic happens, and that generates a risk magnitude. And that risk magnitude, and I think the article talks about, well, this is what you need to generate, and it's left to you as to figure out how to do that and to generate that risk priority number. But it was unclear, at least to me. And then from there, that leads to, logically, this kind of ability to take different projects, look at the risks that are addressed, look at what your priority number was before it occurred, what it is now, how much it costs, and an implementation effort. And that's giving you an indication of the return on investment. So that's the idea behind this particular paper. It's pretty cool up until that magic happens. A very logical decomposition of the project, some big ideas in terms of the RACA model and the meta model, and then mapping this all the way across. That magic happens is the only weak part that I had with the article. I do encourage you to read it. And that brings us to the end of Chapter 7 and the additional readings. What we're going to do in the next chapter is pick up on risk decisions. So keep on studying, keep on learning. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.